Welcome to Scott's Music Cave, and in this video we are going to take a look at this 1944 Selmer balanced action alto saxophone, and I'm going to talk about one really interesting feature on this saxophone. I'm going to start by reading a part of an article that was written by Douglas Pipher, who is a Selmer historian, and let me just read this because it's really interesting and it will factor into this saxophone. In 1939, Germany, France, and England all declared war on each other. And on May 10th, 1940, the Germans attacked through Belgium into France. On June 14th, 1940, Paris fell to the Germans. We could think that production would likely stop cold, but amazingly, in a much smaller capacity, Henry Selmer Paris was able to produce musical instruments throughout the war. In the years leading up to the war, production was roughly around 2,000 instruments per year. During the war, production continued to around 400 to 500 per year. Most of the production was altos, no basses, very few baritones. It made sense. Finding brass would be a real challenge. Many of the instruments that were ones that would have been as samples or examples sitting around the factory, you would think would have been sold in the late 20s or early 30s that have dates of being sold in 1940 through 1944. One of my personal favorites, Henry Selmer Paris sold instruments to the British and Canadian prisoners of war in their prison camps. The prisoners would then, through their commandants, order an instrument for their prison band, and Henry Selmer Paris would deliver them, and it would be paid for by the officers themselves. One interesting feature that is associated with wartime production is the appearance of black pearls. Rather than an actual pearl, it's a black rubber or plastic key touch. What happened was Selmer supply of key pearls was cut off during the war, so they used up what they had, and then shortly before liberation they ran out of G-sharp key, the oval G-sharp key, and that was the only key that was actually black during wartime. It was in the fall of 1945 that most of the regular keys were replaced by the black, and by late 46, and even a few examples sold into early 1947. What's exciting about this saxophone, this is a 1944, and in 1944 they made 269 total of these, and this one does feature the black oval G-sharp plastic key touch. I'm going to try to find out some more information on this. I don't have this saxophone too long today, so I don't have time to get with Douglas and figure out if he knows where this was sold, if this was sold to a prison camp, or if it was just imported. And this is European engraving, so it could have been one of those. I will either hold on to this video and not release it till I hear from Douglas and then add to the end, or I will put in the description below what I found out about it. But really beautiful saxophone, original silver plate. It does have the European engraving and the G-sharp touch piece. To me this is a really historic instrument, and you can imagine the times that were when this saxophone was made in Paris, France during World War II. What a cool instrument. I'll just kind of give you an up-close view of it. This is a player's horn owned by a local player in the Kansas City area. And this is his main alto. Really beautiful, in amazing condition. It's of course tarnished a little bit like all silver horns do eventually. And up close of that G-sharp touch piece. How cool. And these rollers all would have been black on all of the Selmers, so the rollers aren't anything special. And sometimes you'll see them where the actual, or these round key pearls are black plastic, which looks really unusual because it might just be like the B key and the G key are black and the rest are pearl. I did hear back from Douglas Pipher, and he sent me all the history he knows on the saxophone. And it's pretty cool, so I'll just read to you what he said. This is a French market balanced action alto saxophone which shipped from Selmer Paris in June of 1944 it was sold to a store or person in Paris called Fuchs. So that could have just been an individual's last name or the actual store. In the past, he's actually had addresses, so I'm going to almost assume that it's probably an individual. This was one of the last 20 Selmer saxophones to be sold prior to the liberation of Paris on August 19th, 1944, and the black G-sharp key touch is correct for the period. This was the first key to be changed to black and the last one to be restocked to pearl in early 1947. That's really cool. Douglas is on Facebook. He has a Selmer History Facebook page, so if you look that up, and I'll also link that below. That's a great page to follow, and he's happy to share information if you're willing to post your serial number and pictures of your saxophone on that page. Thanks for watching. My name is Scott Reed. I'm a woodwind repair technician. I play music professionally. I buy, sell, trade, and collect musical instruments, and now I have a YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing.